Hello, my Capricorn friends, and welcome to our October 2021 reading. This is a really potent month for clarity. We are going to have Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter all moving direct this month, and Mercury for the first almost 3 weeks of the month will be in retrograde in Libra and then move direct on the 18th. So we're going to start to be getting back into direct motion with planets by the end of October, and it's going to create a different flavor in how we are addressing our lives. Now for you, all the energy moving through Libra, including the sun moving through Libra, a new moon moving through Libra, and a Mercury retrograde moving through Libra, is about how you show up to the external world. But that's also balanced by a full moon in Aries a little later in the month on the 20th. That is about your internal world, your emotional world, the tenderest underbelly side of yourself that others don't get to see, and how we balance these two things out. Now, Pluto, who you've been working with for many, many years at this point, will be going direct for you all on the 6th and in your sign, bringing about greater clarity of your transformation, how you're going to move forward, how you're going to take what you keep learning with Pluto in your sign, and how you're going to move forward with it. So in some ways, this is a really spiritual month. It's also a month that kind of brings us back more fully into our bodies, especially by the end of the month, and much more into our senses so that we can move forward. And for you all, the message that came through that was so clear is to be unafraid to feel your feelings. We judge our feelings. We stress about our stress. We create feelings about the feelings we're having. We create judgments and feelings about where we are in our lives and whether or not that's good enough or not. And I'm noticing here, and the message that just came through is that, if you are in a space where you aren't feeling jubilant and successful and kind of like a montage from an 80s movie where things are going well and the makeover's going on and you're empowered, right? If that is not where you're at, if you are feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you have a whole bucket of emotions, some grief, some joy, some underwhelm, whatever, that's great. You're allowed to have that. I know for me, for example, in my life right now, I'm going through a huge grief process as I move continents, cultures. I leave behind all my friends, my family, and I move to a new space. And, I'll get into that when we're not here for the Capricorn family, more specifically in some other videos. But so I have this whole strange mix of really deep grief where I cry my eyes out, and excitement and joy. And I don't need to judge any of that. It's all perfectly where it is. And there's a happiness, an actual true happiness that comes from letting myself feel all those things. There's this release of tension. There's this release of fear. There's this release of worry, because I allow myself to just be all those things. And suddenly what seemed like this impossible thing that was going to stress me out for the rest of my life and I'm never going to be the same, and goes away. And I can hear my soul. I can hear spirit. I can hear my path. And they've even done studies to show that the stress we have about our stress is what causes all the physiological stress factors to come into play. But if we perceive when we feel stress or overwhelm or any of these deeper emotions, right, that are so core to being a human being and processing information and finding out who we are and making adjustments, if we are at peace with those things, we no longer are in pain. And of course, this is a practice, and it's one that does take some time to practice into, but it's also one that's very accessible to us right here and right now. And I don't know, that message just came up. So let's see what the cards have to say. 8 of Pentacles. Very nice. I am going to be using an oracle deck today as well called Oracle of the Hidden Worlds to follow up on our regular tarot. And 6 of Wands. I love it. Okay, let's pull from our Hidden Worlds Oracle, and just to get a bit of a different a deeper message to add to our cards. The Gathering, community, kinship, companionship. I love it. And, you know, this time of year is beautiful for Capricorns in general. As we move through Libra season, this is going to be, you know, how you show up in the world. And I think that includes bringing a healthy connection with your own emotions to the world. When you show up for other people, they can see that you're at ease with yourself, right? That's very magnetic. People that are at ease with themselves and the complexities within them and all the emotional frequencies within them are magnetic people. And then as we move into Scorpio season, Sun and Mars are both going to move into Scorpio later in the month. We're going to start to have this really connective, community-based energy for Capricorns. And, you know, also with Pluto going direct, you can come out of your shell a little bit more. So, and, you know, honestly, look at these beautiful cards. We have 8 of Pentacles and 6 of Wands. Now, these are forward motion. These are the kinds of cards that really translate into concrete, practical steps that are available to you in order to pursue what is going to work for you, whether that's to move to a new home, start a different career path, get promoted, amplify your relationships. These cards are all about the next right step. And actually what's interesting about both of these cards is they are cards of accomplishment, graduation, completion, like taking that next step after, you know, the 8 of Pentacles is known as the apprentice becomes the master, and the 6 of Wands is known as triumph. So these are cards that have come after a season of a lot of trial and tribulation, right? A lot of growth, a lot of learning opportunities, as we cheesily say sometimes. These cards are the cards that come directly after a time of combativeness almost in life, you know, when we kind of are really wrestling with life. We come to this new understanding, we come to this new wisdom, we come to this new place of centered growth and focus. And there's this sense that, you know, give yourself a moment to honor all that you have accomplished and done this year and over the last few years. I know Saturn's been out of your sign for a little while here, and we've been working with very different energies and we've moved on. But I always find, you know, after a big Saturn transit, it takes a little bit of time to find your feet under you. Find out who you are after doing all that deep homework. And there's a sense here as we hit into October for Capricorns that you are moving out of that kind of post phase of what Saturn taught you. You're understanding it, you're mastering it, you're bringing it forward with you into the rest of your life. And there's this sense that as much as we want to like repeat the familiar patterns, hold true to who we've been in the past, hold true to kind of the role we have in life. And this is where the Mercury retrograde could be a great time for you to just kind of reflect on what roles do you want to play when you're visible in the world and when you're in your community and when you are in a space where you're seen. What roles do you really want to play? And do they fit you? If you're still trying to play the same role as 3 years ago, it's probably going to feel like it doesn't fit quite right, like a sweater that has gotten all wonky and is lumpy and doesn't really fit you anymore. There's a calling here for you to be brave enough to step into this level of growth, and it does mean that everything that you learn from here on out is going to be new stuff. You don't get to just repeat the same material. You're going to be given new material if you accept that you have grown into these new shoes. But you will also be moving from a place that's more true to you and isn't just based on old conditioning or your childhood self or your teen self or any of your traumatized selves, but from a place of really centered knowing. Now, let's talk about the Oracle card, which is the Gathering, and just look how beautiful this deck is. My gosh. And the keywords that they have on this card are community, kinship, and companionship. And as you can see in the card, this is they're in a little temple space, a little pergola space, or something like that, dancing together. There's spirits all together, connected. And I really love this message because while the first two cards for me are about your personal growth as your own self, right? Like where you've taken responsibility, where you've had to learn, where you've had huge growth curves, all of that over the last few years, and mastering that and feeling like you're coming into it. There's also a message here that's following up on that, saying, you don't have to do this all alone. You don't have to carry this all alone. While some of the things, some of the growth and the healing you needed to do was stuff you had to do alone and was part of your own individual process. We all have stuff that we have to take our own accountability for, right? There's also a message here that's really strong in October of building on companionship and kinship, building on your relationships. And I'm going to be doing a lot more detailed discussion about Mercury retrograde on my Patreon. We're going to be going through all the aspects that will be working with us here in October every week. So if you're looking for more detailed discussion and help with Mercury retrograde, I'm going to be doing all of that. But Mercury retrograde is, in general, for all of us, going to be about deepening our clarity of communication and deepening the vulnerability and depth of our relationships, and not just love relationships. Our friendships, our partnerships. This COVID time and all that's happened has really changed a lot of our relationships and the way we relate to the world. And we're kind of coming back to it and figuring out what it looks like for each of us. And the gathering is all about that communion and all about that receiving help, giving help, and really deepening your connection with others. So there's two parts to this month for you, because on the one hand, this is about personal development, personal growth, being comfortable with your own emotions, being comfortable with yourself, being able to sit and feel how much you've grown and changed, and really embracing that and moving forward in life to new things. And on the other hand, this is going to be about allowing others to see you and hold you and getting closer to those around you. But all in all, this month is saying there's no need to just stay in lamentation or fear. There is growth here. There is positive forward motion. You're going to be noticing that as the month kind of elapses, as each of these planets goes direct, we're going to be getting new sight, new abilities to see and move forward in ways that maybe we haven't had this year so far yet, actually, or even in this lifetime so far. And there's a newness, there's a freshness, there's a kind of a surprising playfulness that we're going to be starting to play with. And Capricorn, this is a graduation time. Even though it's not Capricorn season yet, even though we're in this interesting growth time, shift in seasons time, this is a graduation time for you. And this is a time to honor and acknowledge how much you've grown and changed. So I'm really excited to see those messages coming out. You can find me over, like I said, on Patreon, where we are going to be doing a lot of extra exercises and just sit downs and chats about all that's going on this month, all these planets going direct, all the energy moving around, how to work with Scorpio season and Libra season in this time of deep spiritual growth in ways that are really supportive. So I'd love to see you there. You can also find me on my Instagram at Sarah Vrba, as well as on my website. So I'll leave all of my links below. I would love to see you at any of all of those places. And I'd love it if you liked and subscribed and kept hanging out with me, because it's so awesome to see you here. I'll see you all so soon, and have a beautiful October, my Capricorn friends.